it seems, even less than 2 years of this current administration, I'm talking about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, especially with what we're having, it seems, the battle for 2027 has begun because politicians have started aligning, be it the ruling APC, the main opposition party, the PDP, all of these parties have their own internal issues as well. The LP, the SDP, but one will say is even yet to be officially halved. It's not yet 2 years because it is by May 29 that this administration of President Bola Tinubu will be 2 in office. But it seems everybody is just focusing on something else. And while the wheel of governance seems to be dragging, the government and their handlers are saying they are doing the best. Their policies, hardline policies, but they said there are, glimpses of hope, and it is working already, and better days are ahead. But then the politics is just there, has refused to be, on taking the back seat. It has always been there, and that's the reason why many Nigerians will say, for politicians, average Nigerian politician is about winning elections, and winning elections for them. Even when they have won one, they're regrouping for the other one. Even when they have lost one, they are getting ready for the other one as well. So what does that speak, about us? One very vocal individual is the governor of, former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, who, spoke like a few weeks ago with other political juggernauts about politics in Nigeria and the state of the Nigerian political parties, in which he capitaled his own party, the APC, saying the internal democracy in that party is gone and he can't, recognize what is happening in his own APC. Again, he spoke about the opposition parties as well. But yesterday, he spoke about his own party. He maintained it and said they have derailed from what they were meant to give to the people. They are planned for the people. And even while he is of the APC, he can't rule out leaving if what is happening remains the same, And he talked about the policies of the current administration to say maybe President Tinubu meant well, but then the policies and the way they are being implemented is not the right way. And in fact, the people running it for the president, they are not the right ones. So he spoke about his rejection as a National Assembly, and he said, it's not the Senate that rejected him. It was President Tinubu who changed his mind. He begged him, according to Nasir El-Rufai, that President Tinubu begged him publicly to say, come and work with me. They had an agreement, and he was supposed to possibly resume at the power sector. As he said, the president told him, the power sector has been bad. We have not really gotten it right. So he was getting ready only to appear at the Senate. And what happened, that, scratch whatever allegation was levied against him. It was President Tinubu who changed his mind, and he's fine, doesn't have any problem with it, but things are not going rightly. He spoke about many things, and his problem at his home state in Kaduna, he's saying those guys are just being used to get at him, and he fingered the NSA, nobody bad to say he's the architect of whatever allegations have been leveled against him because he wants to be president. That's no who in 2031, and these are very weighty and categorical statements. We have with us today somebody who knows how it goes. When I mean that, you get to see why I said that. He has been a politician, he has been a public affairs analyst, and of course, right now, he is about getting it right in the nation. The DJ at the Heritage Center, Dr. Kachan Oniju. Thank you for joining us, Doctor.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right.
And thanks also for bringing up the El-Rufai story.
All right, quickly, before you go, sir.
It's a very pertinent story.
Yes, if you can hear me, yes, I want your opinion about what I've said about politics and governance in Nigeria. Is not yet half of the Tinubu administration, but it seems the political juggernauts are realigning, and El-Rufai has been he was albeit silent for like a year, but since the past 1 or 2 months, he has been vocal, and you already know where he is right now. I need your opinion on that.
Yes, I was going to tell you that it's all right for him to call Nuhu Ribadu. Yes, Nuhu Ribadu was the security man who was asked to clarify by President Tinubu what he had from people of Southern Kaduna. President Tinubu, after the election, was surprised that the people of the North Central and Southern Kaduna didn't vote for him, Tinubu. They voted for Mr. Peter Obi. And when he asked them, what is the problem? Why did you not do for me? And they told him, you are sleeping with the enemy. And they asked, what do you mean? He said, El-Rufai. He conducted industrial scale ethnic cleansings in Kaduna State, killed our people. Today, you will agree that the killings that were so rampant in Kaduna State have stopped. And when Tinubu now thought about that, he said, tell me more. I would like to clarify. Mr. El-Rufai was in charge of the industrial scale ethnic cleansings of indigenous people for land.
These are huge allegations.
And that's why he was removed. Now, he was removed, and in trying to placate those people, Christopher Musa was brought in and made Chief of General Staff, and then asked to say, okay, if you're having this complaint, I hope your appointment will give your people the chance to rebuild. Since you say your problem was security, and that insecurity, the man at the head of it was El-Rufai. Now, let me tell you why. In the face of the new revelations by the Trump administration about the deep state in America using the United States Agency for Aid to actually do a lot of those covert dirty jobs, listen and remember what the Chief of Army Staff, former General Ihejirika, said. It was El-Rufai that was the coordinator for the Bring Back Our Girls scam. It was El-Rufai that was the coordinator for the Boko Haram thing. Now, we may have had some quality of peace across northern Nigeria, but it will not be good that we forget how the rains beat us, how ethnic cleansings became the mainstay of the last administration. I also want to tell you, if you check in the eastern part of the country, all those people who were working covertly for the Biafra Nana noise, they've all died down. So that meant those things were actually being orchestrated. By who? General Ihejirika said, El-Rufai. The people of Southern Kaduna said El-Rufai. So that was why when Nuhu Ribadu was asked, do you know about this? And he said yes. El-Rufai was kept aside. So it's not like he was rejected just like that. No. The people of Southern Kaduna complained to President Tinubu. You complain we didn't vote for you. We voted for Peter Obi. This is our reason. This man conducted industrial scale ethnic cleansing of our people. So if you want us to work with you for the next election, this is what we will have to do. El-Rufai now became a casualty of his own works. So I believe what we should be talking about is, have we finished doing the post-mortem of yesterday? We need to do a post-mortem of yesterday. We need to ask ourselves, how did Nigeria, an economy that was doing very well at about 8%, 9%, third fastest growing economy in the world, and the fastest growing in Africa, suddenly fell into mayhem? Mr. El-Rufai is not very far from the accusations. He's not very far from who people say was in charge of a lot of these killings. That is why President Tinubu removed him. So let's not have any doubts about that. Apart from that, let him understand that Tinubu's intention is to plan for the next election. And that's why Tinubu did not want any of baggage. Tinubu wants the followership of the people of North Central. And I'll tell you another thing. I am aware that President Tinubu has approved a university for the people of the North Central. It came as a consequence of one of their sons having built a university. That university was seized by the government. He was accused of having gotten the money in an ill form. But since it was seized by the government has now used that particular property that was seized to now start a brand new university in north central Nigeria, which is the southern part of Kaduna State, you're saying. So Tinubu has also gone further, apart from giving them a chief of general staff, that's the highest appointment in the army from Kaduna State, Christopher Musa. He has also approved for them a university. So he's actually doing quite a lot of things to placate those people. So visibly, we have seen three things for those people. Number one, he didn't appoint El-Rufai, since all of them said El-Rufai was the mastermind of the industrial scale ethnic cleansing. Two, he appointed for them General Christopher Musa, a person from Qatar, to be able to now supervise the healing of his people and then making sure that those things do not happen again. And that's why you can see Tinubu has been able substantially to actually stop the killings. In Plateau is no more as large as he used to be. He arrested Bello Abdullahi Bodejo, who is from Bauchi State, but who organized the Fulani militiamen in Plateau State, as you saw, well televised, and he was about to march into Benue State. Now, don't forget, Bello Bodejo, with his Miete Alakatohore, for 8 years terrorized Benue, the Benue Basin. Buhari didn't do anything. El-Rufai saw nothing wrong in that. So Tinubu has come to stop all that industrial killings for land. That was all.
Yeah. Yes. That is a very huge allegation to say the former governor superintended ethnic cleansing in southern Kaduna, and it's we speak to fact.
That is the complaint by the people of Kaduna State, and that was what the president listened to.
I understand. I'm just saying, this is a categorical statement, and there is something you should be able to substantiate as well. But
I substantiate it. If Rufai doesn't want, he should please take me to court.
All right.
And I have access to the documents that Mr. Ribado also has. So I'll be able to show him in court that everybody in Nigeria knows he was the mastermind of the killing.
All right.
Today,
very well.
Those killings are no more in Kaduna State.
If I may, in that interview of his yesterday, Malam Nasir El-Rufai said, all this, he says something different to what you have just highlighted, is about Nuhu Ribadus, that they used to be friends before. Ubasani, they were friends before, but they have turned their backs on him, and if anybody will not turn up for him when he needs them, then that means they are no more friends. That whatever they are seeing, allegations of 423 billion leveled against him by the Kaduna State governor through the State House of Assembly and all of those things, is just the work of Nuhu Ribadu, because he wants to be president in 2031 and he needs to, neutralize any northern threat. You don't think there's any substance in that? He knows what he's saying.
No. Accusations of monetary issues are rampant everywhere, but that's not the issue. Those are just what was brought out when they looked at his records in regards to state wide spending through the budgetary system. But the real problem he has was Nuhu Ribadu was asked by the president to confirm these weighty allegations about industrial scale ethnic cleansing across northern Nigeria, and more specifically in Kaduna State. Nuhu Ribadu said yes, that those records exist. That's why when El-Rufai said he will go to court to clear his name, that they tagged him, a security risk, and all that he said, they said go to court and we will show you. He wouldn't go there. Now, there is a lot more that concerns Mr. What's his name? Mr. El-Rufai. General Ihejirika publicly stated that it was him, El-Rufai, that was the commander of the Boko Haram. It was in his house that the Bring Back Our Girls scam was being coordinated. He was the person taking money from USAID. So, yes, the president may not have gone down that lane, but we have had a lot from the congressional, hearings in the U.S. Congress. Yes, President Trump wants to fight the deep state, and then he thinks the covert operations of the deep state in the United States, he wants to reveal, and that's why he's revealing that. And we have now found out that we also suffered when President Yar'Adua refused to grant the American request for a base in Nigeria, when he refused to travel to the United Nations General Assembly, and then he was going to Brazil instead. The Americans suddenly started funding Boko Haram, and that's what you saw. So we have all those reports. They're now open. What we're going to do with them is what I ask, because if we do not punish those transgressions, we will be very, 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 very open to repeat those mistakes in the future. Now, there are reasons why some persons are not comfortable with democracy. Don't forget, Nuri Badu claims to be a Fulani. Fulanis don't have numbers. After the British left, they stayed back in Nigeria, and in democracy, they don't have numbers to maintain their positions of entitlement. That's why they may not be very comfortable with democracy. Their biggest problem in the core Hausa states of Katsina, Zamfara, Sokoto, and Kano are the Hausas. Hausas have up to 90% of the populations, and Hausas are beginning now to wake up. You can see the Hausas, Yesakai militias, operating freely currently in Katsina, Zamfara, and Sokoto to defend the Hausa populations. So we do have this security crisis, being masterminded by elements of the Tabita Pulaku, the Gandokoi, and the Miete Allah Hotohore, which President Tinubu, after using the army to arrest Abdullahi Bello Bodejo, has actually seized its operations in the Benue Valley. The Benue Valley was so disturbed and traumatized over the 8 years of El-Rufai and Buhari's rulership, and nobody said anything. So the fact that right now across the country, the security problem has been well tamed in places like Plateau, in places like Adamawa, where I commend the governor for creating for the people of Hong a 120-year quest for chiefdoms and giving them first-class status. So I believe a lot of the problems in northern Nigeria can be solved if the indigenous people are looked at, and that's what I think President Tinubu is doing.
Catch,
looking at the demands of the indigenous people across northern Nigeria.
Yes, before Uzom's coming, you have said, according to you, the insecurity situation has, piped low, and things have improved in Benue, in Adamawa, and in some of those states.
In Plateau,
one will say
in Niger State.
Yes.
Even in Abuja.
We are still seeing attacks in those places, by the way. But then,
Kaduna State.
If you are saying it has improved, El-Rufai didn't govern Benue. He didn't govern Adamawa. He didn't govern Niger. Why pinpoint him as being responsible for those killings then?
El-Rufai was a coordinator for the covert operations of the United States government, deep state, in Nigeria, and the distributions of funds and amenities and equipment to militiamen went around the states across northern Nigeria and also most parts of southern Nigeria. We need to interrogate the truth about the violence. It is not fair for us to keep quiet because we fear that some of the beneficiaries of that violence are still in power. There is a need for us, for the sake of our future, to interrogate and document those truths. We cannot sweep them under the carpet. It is not possible. We lost our countrymen. We also had a country that was growing at 8-9% annual GDP growth, fastest growing economy in Africa, third fastest growing in the world, shut down simply because some people wanted access to power. So if El-Rufai did those things, let us interrogate. Now that the Senate has set up a committee to talk to the army chiefs, security chiefs. Let it not stop there. Let the private citizens, like me and others who have files and have information, be allowed to also make our contributions. For me, this is mourning on a very long creation day. And I believe Nigerians should be awake to the demands of this morning.
Okay, Doctor, from all you've been saying so far, from the statements you've made, it's narrowed down to what Malam Nasser El-Rufai said yesterday, saying that the APC left him. He didn't leave the APC. Now, let's bring it back to the policies he talked about with the present administration. He said some of the policies reeled out are not really working well because of the people around the president. Also, he talked about leaving the party if some of the things he has actually talked about, or the party he knew before, is not restructured to what it was before, because suddenly he has saying that the party has lost its stance and everything that it was built for. Do you think all these things he has said so far, or all what he said yesterday regarding these things, some of these points I listed, are also based on the fact that he's no longer with the APC, or he was not given a ministerial nomination?
Well, it's more than being left out of the APC. The problem is the people in the APC have now discovered that Mr. El-Rufai was far more sinister than they can accommodate. It has nothing to do with the APC or power at all. You know, the issue of statehood, it's a very serious game. Statehood includes you being very inclusive in your thoughts about other people when state building, nation building is the issue. Mr. El-Rufai went too far, and I believe that his main problem is he's being fingered as being at the very top of the ethnic cleansings that occurred during the Buhari administration. Those ethnic cleansings have now been quietened. I would not say they've been totally wiped out, but you can notice, if you can actually gauge by yourself, that the quantum of violence we had across northern Nigeria and some parts of the south have come down. Ask yourself, how? How? So the killings we see in Kaduna have stopped. I didn't like President Trump at the inception, but I love him now, one, for stopping the war in Ukraine and in Gaza, and of course, for his revelation of the covert operations engaged in by the U.S. government using the U.S. aid. And the United States agency has been known to do these things in Nicaragua, in Afghanistan, in a lot of places, but we didn't know they were also here in Nigeria. So when they refused the Nigerian government arms to fight Boko Haram, we didn't understand. If you go today, as I'm talking to you, to Maiduguri, you'll be shocked that it is a base taken over already by the international community simply to undermine Nigeria. So the earlier we are serious about this, we should show that seriousness by telling those in Maiduguri to please leave. Get them to leave so that we can take back Maiduguri, take back our country, and start to fix things. You're not going to be here setting up a Senate committee to investigate, whereas those who perform the covert operations are still in Nigeria. Let nobody, a Nigerian, can today get a rent of any property in Maiduguri because all the properties have been taken on long-term leases by these people who want to stay here and undermine Nigeria. So that's why I said in an interview.
All right. I feel. Yeah. We'll try and reconnect with Dr. Kat.
Yes, right. I am here with you.
All right,
can you hear me?
Please go ahead.
Okay.
Yes. What I'm trying to tell you is it is very important that we just embrace rhetorics, that we also go to Maiduguri and send those people we believe are not here for our own good away from our country. No Nigerian company today can get any property to rent in Maiduguri because the entire place has been rented out on long-term leases by international agencies who I believe are here to help in undermining Nigeria and the sub-region. And that's why I said in a previous interview I gave last week to a station in Kaduna, that the president, yes, is between the rock and hard place. He's trying to be friendly to France that wants to use Maiduguri as a staging post to reclaim its colonies in the Sahel, and yet you are at Nigeria that was in the forefront of African liberation. Those things really do not mix together. We need to reclaim back who we are, join BRICS. We are right now approaching the inevitability of a multipolar world, and it serves us to join the populations of the South to actually do this that we're doing. So I believe we have come to the end of the American century, and we should be very careful as the transition is managed by the Trump administration. We should be on the right side of history. We should make sure those who are going to Maiduguri to station there are asked to leave. They're not here for Nigeria's own good. Since they came, Nigeria has gone down. Yes, the revelations about the U.S. covert funding of terrorism in Nigeria has come. How do we Nigerians embrace such a news? How do we act? Even though there are still beneficiaries of the covert operation still alive today, still free, like Mr. El-Rufai. The earlier we take those issues seriously, the better for the Tinubu administration and also for the Nigerian people as a people of one country.
Doctor, you said the earlier we take those actions seriously, it will be better for us. Well, you said that you have, that if it gets to that Malam Nasser El-Rufai should take it to court for you to actually clarify or
let him try to take us to court. He's been saying he will go to court for a long time. Let him go to court. Let us come there and show him that we have evidence. President Tinubu didn't just drop his name. No. President Tinubu, even as yesterday, I was still in a meeting with a cross-section of North Central and Southern Zaria leaders. And I can tell you this. This is what happened, okay? I thank Tinubu for releasing the school that was seized in EFCC investigations and now converting it to a federal university. I also want to tell him we are grateful that his governance has stopped the ethnic cleansings that Mr. El-Rufai was known for. But I want to say this. Find a way to return the indigenous people who are currently living in IDP camps back to their ethnic lands. These people occupying their lands are not Nigerians. They don't speak Nigerian languages. Most of them speak French and Bambara. And I have been on television stations since this crisis started. I have advised presidency. I have told them what I know after my trips to Central Mali to see the war between the Fulani and the Dogon, after my trips to Central African Republic before they were sacked and they were looking for land in Benue and Suswan didn't give them. And then Buhari tried looking for land anywhere in Nigeria, pretentiously trying to resettle them. And I told Nigerians on television that these are not Nigerians because they only speak Bambara and French. And I told President Buhari, if he is sincere, do what Nigerians did in 1974 after Israel occupied East Lebanon. Lebanese came to Nigeria as refugees. We camped them in Apapa, in Kano, in Benin, and other places. Don't pretend these foreigners are Nigerians. They are not. We cannot give up our lands for foreign people. And you can see Buhari's policy never worked. He tried several policies, like he called it grazing reserve. We said no. He said National Livestock Development Program. We said no. He said consolidation of underground and surface water plus 6 kilometers of embarking land, which will have given Dumagbo to them because the Dumagbo is less than 3 kilometers on other sides of the water. So he now went on to also ask for grazing routes. We told him no. Grazing routes were suggested by the Northern State Administration. At the time, we had 4 regions. In 36, the action or edict of one state, when it clashes with the Constitution takes precedent. He went down. There's no kind of scheme Buhari didn't look for to try to gain land. Nigerians said no. And what did they do? They now used violence to start ethnic cleansing, of which Mr. El-Rufai was at the top. We knew what he said. They were all recorded. And he started using force to take land of indigenous people to try to plant those people he said he paid billions for them to stop killing Nigerians, and the people still said no. So what did he do? He now decided to try to settle them. He said these things, they are on tape. He said he paid them billions for them to stop killing Nigerians, and the people said no. They wanted land. That's why they said no. So what did he do? They started industrial scale ethnic cleansings across Nigeria, and most especially northern Nigeria.
Catch, please,
people who suffer the most.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Passively, the other time you mentioned the recent revelation by a U.S. Congressman, Scott Perry, a Republican representing Pennsylvania, during the inaugural hearing of the Subcommittee on Delivery and Government Efficiency last week, claimed that USAID was being used to destabilize government and beyond the purpose in which people know it for, interventions in medical care, in health, in rebuilding, that there is a clandestine motive why USAID was created, to disrupt governments in other countries and fund insecurity. And he mentioned very categorically Boko Haram and other terrorist organizations. But then the United States ambassador in Nigeria, Richard M. Mills Jr., has refuted allegations that USAID was used to fund the Boko Haram terrorist group, and he stated that the U.S. government was the first country to declare Boko Haram a terrorist group. The U.S. ambassador has said there is nothing, that's a lie. And Scott Perry is, he's just been economical with the truth. So what do you say when an ambassador of the U.S. has refuted it? That's the ambassador of U.S. to Nigeria, but it's just a congressman in Pennsylvania that said that. So how do we balance? Who do we believe?
Well, you need to understand that there are two forces currently serving in the United States. One, members of the deep state, who the ambassador belongs to, he's not here as a normal person. They are now being targeted and smashed by the Trump administration. What do you expect a diplomat to say?
Doctor, Scott Perry himself is a Republican person.
I understand that. What do you expect an ambassador to say? He will try to calm it down. That's what they're doing right now. Most U.S. ambassadors, diplomats, or whatever, trying to tone down the effects of what is coming out of the Trump administration. So, yes, Trump doesn't have enough time. 4 years isn't enough to smash the deep state. Members of the deep state are posted all over the country, all over the world, some as ambassador, just like the man in Nigeria. What do you expect him to say? The facts are so overwhelming. Don't forget how many hundred billions was the USAID given to Hamas? You see, just the same thing they were doing in Nigeria, they were doing there also with Hamas. They were also doing with Al-Qaeda, that was established to undermine the Russian operations in Afghanistan. Don't also forget all that about ISIS. This is what we're seeing. You're going to have this kind of blowback from a lot of the American diplomats who are not very happy with what Mr. Trump is doing. But it is only when armed robbers start fighting after coming to your house to steal that you learn some of the truth. It doesn't mean that all of them will say, yes, we did wrong. Some will tell you, Ghana, walk where we walk. But this is what we're seeing right now. So don't take what the ambassador to Nigeria says for truth. It's not truth. A lot of them will try to mellow these things down, to climb down on it, to try to push back on it. But the truth is out of the bag. And that's what we're beginning to see. So you will see the ambassador who is historically part of the deep state try to fight back as Mr. Trump, who is part of the flowery elective cycle of every 4 years, is now not happy with the deep state because they thought the deep state were also, after his life, the deep state were responsible for his defeat. Deep state were also there for the evidences against him. He's going against them. What do you expect a member of the deep state to say, an ambassador? He will, of course, tell you, just as the same way our own ambassadors who are mostly members of the NIA, they will try to push back. This is the job of diplomats. This is the job of people who swore to become members of the deep state. So don't take the man seriously, whatever he says in Nigeria. Right. Listen to what's going on in Washington. Listen to what's going on in the Congress. Take it from there. And we, as Nigerians, should come home and talk to ourselves privately. We shouldn't go on killing our people. No. Somebody will always be that internal collaborator to do this thing. Let's not start shooting up our country. No. Now we've had these things. It is the way that we use this information. That's what makes us. We don't need to burn our country because we're in there to work with them. Other people will be there to work with them.
Doctor, we have to go on a break. Yes, we have to go on a break. But then before that, in just a minute, Uzam, so
okay, Doctor, you listed some policies that the previous administration, that's the Buhari's administration, actually carried out during his time, and how it didn't actually benefit most Nigerians, especially in the northern region. I would like to know, what are the policies that the present administration, that's the Tinubu's administration, is carrying out now that is benefiting the northern region?
Number one, security. When we went to election, you know, when we went to election, I served as special advisor to Peter Obi on public affairs. I was a primary founder of the youth movement. And our number one issue during the election was by 57%. Nigerians say their problem, number one, was insecurity. Today, I can tell you the reason why you hear me talking like this about Tinubu is because he's been able to arrest that insecurity problem. The insecurity took our state away. It smashed the country. It destroyed our security services because security men were now forced to swear allegiance to politicians. Normally, legally, historically, security men swear allegiances to the constitution of their country, not to politicians. But you can see how they undermined Buratai, the army chief, who is Margi, who is Baburu from Borno State. Minority. They made him to swear allegiance to themselves, politicians. And what did they do? The army looked the other way, while the militia people from outside the country, as General Danjuma said, the army were colluding. They collude. General Danjuma said that severally. And before then, I was saying that on television. They were colluding. And anywhere they see water and they see grass is a target. That was why Central Kaduna was targeted all through that area, going into the Benue Basin, moving through Irium into Plateau, and from there towards the green belt of the savannah, towards Cross River State. They got into Gembu. They were there in Mambila. The people who were sacked in Mambila were the ones who now went to Cross River State. As I'm speaking, I was there 2 weeks ago. I saw for my own eyes. I went to see where they are. And that's one of the bad things that Governor Yade did for his people, you know, allowing those terrorists in to come and settle in the cattle ranch.
Okay, thank you. We'll be going on a short break now. When we return, we'll let you land on your thoughts. Stay with us.
You're welcome back. And we have with us Dr. Kachi Ononeje. You know, he has been bearing his mind on the state of the nation, especially the political actors and what he has been saying about the polity. And Dr. Kachi has enumerated why he feels El-Rufai is talking this way. But then let's switch the gears right now. Last week, Thursday, you know, an event happened in Abuja. That was the launch of the autobiography of former Head of State Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, popularly known as IBB. He called the book, you know, his memoir, A Journey in Service, actually, and is a compendium of many things that have happened. In fact, I call it a compendium of history. Very notable is his admittance of the victory of MKO Abiola, the former Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò of Yoruba land, pillar of sport in Africa, and a business mogul. who ventured into politics, sought for office, and June 12, 1993 will ever be fresh. I mean, will forever be fresh in the annals of our nation. And 32 years ago, he was denied by the same IBB in that annulment of his, but the 2 years after, he's admitted that yes, everything he did that time, even though it wasn't to be, and he said it was done in extreme national interest, and he still maintains it. But then he has admitted, and he regrets what happened under his watch, and that yes, MK Abiola was the true winner in what he called almost perfect election, nearly perfect election. Now, that has been generating so much controversy, but then part of what he said was that annulment, that it was the late head of state, General Sani Abacha, who masterminded it, that he, IBB, was away in Casina while that was happening. And, some persons were instrumental in that. He mentioned the former Senate President David Mark, former naval, high commander Austin Ike Homu, and all of those persons. And that though it happened under his watch, he takes responsibility. But the family of General Sani Abacha are not allowing it to lie low at all. And they have been speaking. His eldest daughter, Gumsu Abacha, has spoken on the matter very, very strongly. And let me just read part of what he has said. His sons have been speaking on the matter, but what Gumsu said was IBB's confession a needless revelation that diminishes his legacy. That was written by one Sufian Lawal Kabo, but then it was posted by Gumsu, and he talked about a betrayal of trusted ally, a pointless confession at the wrong time, and a tarnished image of leadership with the confession, and they termed it a misguided use of wealth and influence. And in the end, conclusively, through that post by Gumsu, he said that IBB's confession does not rewrite history in his favor. Instead, it exposes the contradiction in his leadership, weakens his legacy, and reminds Nigerians why the country remains stuck in a cycle of failed governance. Dr. Kachononuju, Abacha's family have not, allowed it to just lie low. They have refuted everything IBB said, and they have accused him of lying and attempt to rewrite history. And in fact, he was described as a weakling and a failed person who Abacha trusted. And even in some fora, IBB has said this was somebody who helped him during a particular coup while his life was hanging in the balance, and it was a failed loyalist, somebody who's supposed to be loyal to the Sani Abacha legacy. He has thrown him under the bus. What do you make of these things happening? That yes, he has admitted that MKO won, but there are some powers that annulled it even while under his watch.
Well, I think other elderly citizens, other elder statesmen should also learn to put down their thoughts like Babangida has done. I welcome him. The Abacha family have not said anything. Their rabbit rants don't change the truth. What Babangida wrote are the things that we have heard and known before. Abacha led the group of Northerners who said no, that Babangida should not hand over. That is a well-known fact. And Abacha was very well linked to the caliphate leaders and others, and that's what Babangida was saying, that Abacha had the ears of the traditional institution and those who ran what I would call the Nigerian deep state at that particular point. So, but of course, that does not exonerate Babangida, who had been known historically for his gallant ways, to suddenly now say an election which he started, Coach Awolowo said, no, I will not head your transition committee because I don't trust your words. So that the thing happened at the end of the day simply means that Chief Awolowo understood when he said he would not accept the appointment, that the people which Babangida represents are not yet ready to share power. Now, this is the same thing we're saying. It happened again in 2023 when they annulled the results and they called it a glitch. But when Tinubu now told them, give it to me, because if you understand what happened in 2023, when you annulled an election won by a Southerner, you gave the advantage to the Northerner, which is Abacha, and that was how the problem of Nadeko came. Don't repeat it. They gave it to him. When they were going for strike, and they accused Tinubu of, they gave him power. He said, he didn't give me power. I bought it from you. I bought this power with my money. So you need to understand the context in which these two things are. It's the same a repetition of the annulment. So most of them in the North, after the Civil War, simply took the country for a joke. Look at the way the states were created. Look at the way nothing has worked. Look at the way looting has become a mainstay. Look at the way governance is not real, it's not embraced as it should be. Look at the way people, and most especially, come to the second confession that Babangida made about the January 66 coup. What he said is true. The coup was actually done to put Chief Awolowo as head of government. But you see, the British, who had been against Nigerians since 1958, simply because they wanted control over the hydrocarbon discoveries, painted it an Igbo coup, and those people now took it and used that as an alibi to stage the pogrom that came after that particular incident. So I think what Babangida has done is good. And I encourage General Gowon to also go on and write his own memoir. When you're in your old age, you don't fear nobody, because an old man is already very close to the ground. You don't fear nobody. Say the truth before you leave. Babangida has done his own. Let others do their own. Not just go on accusing or insulting him. Do your own. Yes.
Okay, so you don't buy the general notion of most people that have been talking, that have been saying that it's not right for IBB to have pushed the blame to late General Abacha over the annulment of June 1993 elections.
Yeah, because it wasn't.
He did not push the blame to Abacha. He just gave an honest account of what happened. Listen, he didn't push the blame to Abacha. He said what happened. He said that when he was about to leave, don't forget, these people, from what General Gusau told us, they all had a plan after Babangida, Abacha, after Abacha, him, Gusau. That's why Gusau, in the 2023 election, was trying to use Atiku as a proxy. So all of them have that mindset of after you and me. Nigeria has for a long time been a turn-by-turn arrangement. This is the problem. Tinubu said a Milokon after Tinubu Buhari, with whom he formed that coalition that bettered the Buhari presidency. It's always been this way in the mindset of Nigerian big boys. This is the way it's been after you and me. So I don't think Babangida can exonerate himself from being head of the class that collectively annulled the election. No. What he has said was that Abacha and Abacha's influence in rallying David Mark and other members of the Northern establishment into saying, don't hand over, don't hand over. He simply now found Abacha as a scapegoat, but Babangida can never exonerate himself because he's collectively responsible. He is the head of the class. How can a military head of state say that he lost the courage to do the right thing? No. He did the annulment under his government, even though it was Aikomu's aide that made that type this something and whatever. Abacha took charge. The problem about the annulment was Abiola, a Southerner, won an election and it was annulled by Northerners, and then advantage given to Abacha, a Northerner, and that was how the crisis of Nadeko came.
Okay, yes. Wouldn't it be only unfair, okay, judging from where the children are coming from, the fact that General Sani Abacha is no longer alive to give his own account, because we're only hearing it from the side of IBB now. This is IBB dragging or pulling Abacha into this, and Abacha is not there to give his own account or tell his own story. So isn't it only right or fair that the children are coming out to talk about it because their father is no longer there to defend himself?
The children can also go on and write their own book because the children are also beneficiaries of that fraud. annulling the election and then making their father president. Since they gained from it, they should write. They should write. They are not big enough just to enjoy the spoils of such state capture.
Doctor, if I may,
they're also good enough to also write what they want. They are all grown up, big enough to write.
All right. You know, two things. First, you have said it, IBB can never exonerate himself from this, irrespective of the politics that played out underneath at the time. He was the one who made the announcement and about the annulment, and he said he was stepping aside and everything. And why has it taken him 32 years to admit? Because you remember, years after that, whenever he has been interviewed or asked about that decision, he has always said whatever he did at that time, he did in the best national interest, and given that circumstance, most likely he will do it again. 32 years after, he's changing his words to say, I'm admitting because this happened under my watch. One would say the IBB has been courageous to go ahead with the SAP thing, even when the whole nation said, we didn't want the structural adjustment program. We don't want all of this. He went ahead with it. He has been courageous to even kill, his best friend accused of coup and with many things. And now because some high-ranking military officials didn't want, according to him, Abiola to emerge, he now said he went ahead, played to their bidding, and announced the annulment, and is now admitting 32 years later why the change of mind for him. People think he should be sued because he threw this nation into the imbalance that we are still suffering right now. You don't agree?
Well, if you want to kill him, first kill El-Rufai and Buhari. The country has a way of forgetting and being docile. Our docility is what Babangida is punishing. So there's nothing that's different. What he has done and other people have done. Nigeria is a very docile nation, and I will maintain that any day, anytime, anywhere. I simply want to tell you that what he has done is not different from what he has said. I was watching the interview he gave, and one of them he said, specifically in a BBC interview, he said, I did what I did that time for the best interest of the country. Now, I'm not defending him. That best interest of the country he meant, in his own understanding, he said they will they will kill you. They know you're here with me because every time you come in, they see, and they have their own security people in the villa who monitor what goes around me and report back. They will kill you, Professor. They know you're with me. So what he was trying to say is that those people are so angry that if the power was handed over to a Sultana, that they will bring the house down. Hey, Babangida Buhari just did it recently. It was simply because of when Tinubu reminded them that if you do this again, remember June 12. If you don't like the man you think is leading, give it to me, a Sultana. So don't give it to a Northerner. And that's why you saw the imams who were now blaming the
Dr. Nanuju, so that I get you rightly, are you saying this so-called extreme national interest that Babangida has always been giving for 32 years?
It is not extreme national interest. What Babangida was referring to
Babangida,
the bloodletting.
Are you saying that you agree with him?
I don't agree with it, but that is his view, and I'm trying to explain to you his view. He said that he believed there will be bloodletting, that they will kill Professor Humphrey Nwosu, they will kill Abiola, they will kill a lot of people just to hold themselves to power. But that is wrong. That's why I tell you, he cannot exonerate himself. I'm only trying to tell you what he explained in comparison to a previous interview he said. Now listen to me. What I will advise everybody is go write your own. David Mark, go write your own. Abacha and his children, go write your own. Everybody must write their own. If you don't, it's the other man's own that will hear. Say, make your own. That's why God gave all of us mouth.
Quickly, before we round it out, yes, the event that happened on that day, let's look at it. Hopefully our producers can put it up. What happened on that day, where glowing tributes and accolades were being passed on the man, for liberalization of the private sector and in banking, in the oil sector. In fact, Aliko Dangote came up and said he gave 5 of them licenses, or he called them and said, go and pay $1 million. And that was how the oil sector was liberalized and all of those things. Many banking moguls rather, came out and said, "We did this for us and well," even in the media and all of those things. But then the annulment, which, took the life at the end of the day, MK Abiola, Kudirat Abiola, Alfred Rewani, many political activists, in which I'm sure you know more than I do, said this thing has rubbed off that man. And instead of that cheerful mode and applause that was repeatedly given on that day, and that occasion should have been a sober reflection, and instead he raked up almost 16 billion naira in the construction of his library. That what does that make us as a people? That we're people who forget history easily, and whatever anybody has done, in as much you can get away with it, we usually, just come up at the end of the day to just applause, and everybody appears to move on. But there are some persons that have been affected by the operations and the administration of IBB while he was in power. But it seems now like, the beautiful bride on that day.
Well, what that makes us is, it makes us expose ourselves as very docile people. It's our docility that have allowed these few individuals to abuse our state, and yet we turn up to smile with them. If you're trying to blame IBB, what would you do to Buhari and what he did in 2023? When we complain, they say it's a glitch. Amazon say there's no glitch. They say it's a glitch. What do? We have Tinubu, and we've accepted them. Me that was against Tinubu, today I tell you I accept his policies. But this is who we are. This is who we are. And you need to understand, nothing good comes easily. We are in the process of nation building. Nigeria is just a state, it's not yet a nation. When it becomes a nation, that's when all of us, the different nationalities, will blend together as one single Nigerian nation. We've not gotten to that yet. What we still have is everybody seeking Nigeria on their own terms. That's why you see people like El-Rufai and Koko now go on a binge of industrial scale ethnic cleansings simply to gain land to be able to put other people. And what are we doing today? We're not doing nothing. He's even on television yesterday talking. And what did we do? Nothing. Why? We're docile. So learn that. We're docile people. What did you do to all the killings? What did you do to all the lootings? What did you do? Nothing. We're docile. So accept that. If we're docile to Buhari, docile to Babangida, docile towards the sins of El-Rufai, hey, why won't you be docile also to what Tinubu has done? So that's why when people make noise, I'll tell them, why are you screaming? What did you do when Buhari did this for 8 years? So Tinubu now is different. Is Tinubu not a Muslim anymore? Is he not? And they say, I said, keep quiet. If you told me you won't protest against a Muslim in power, is Tinubu a Christian? So that's what we are. We are docile much, okay? Don't also forget that the people who have suffered all this the most, I repeat, the people who have suffered all this the most in the north of Nigeria are the Hausas. I saw the killings that happened in the Hausa areas of Basari, Sapana, Musa, Kankara, Maru,
actually out of time. Okay.
Are you there?
Yes, we are here. I just have one question. We're actually out of time. You said something that you weren't in support of Tinubu before, but now you are in support because you're accepting his policies. Some Nigerians would actually want to differ with these, because these policies you're talking about somehow has been making life unbearable to an extent for most Nigerians, and you say his policies are good.
You are talking about his economic policy. What I accept and I like is the security policy. I still abhor the economics. They've not gotten it right yet. But if you're asking for 10 things and you get 4, hold those 4 and start expecting more. That's what it is. So there's nothing wrong in being an Oliver Twist. That's the essence of being a capitalist. Capitalism is all about Oliver Twist, taking what you have and demanding for more. But today is much better than yesterday. Take that. Tinubu's Nigeria is a much better Nigeria than Buhari's Nigeria, though it could be better in regards to the economic sphere, not yet, accentuated, not yet arrested, not yet properly situated. And that's what I agree with most people, that The economic policies, yes, his strategies are okay, but the plots and the way they've been done is the reasons why we've had what we've had. But of course, today is better than yesterday. Okay, much, much better than yesterday. When we went to election, Nigerians said their most pressing problem, by 57% of Nigerians, they say it was insecurity. Today, insecurity has been brought to a manageable minimum, and that's the reason why I commend Tinubu. So, and I like what I am seeing in his attempt in a lot of places to actually stabilize. The Hausas who were suffering before in Kasinas, Ganspara, and Sokoto, I was there 3 weeks ago, and I went again to places like Basari, Sapana, Dutsima, Damusa, Kankara, places like Kwatrakwashi, Bungudu, even Dangobe, where I saw terrorists move from Dangobe to the Briningwari Forest Reserve. All that has been arrested because Tinubu has given honest instructions to security services to go deal with these people. Bello Turuji is being properly tracked. The militias that Erufai situated in Kaduna are now begging for ceasefire. So a lot is getting better. And that's why I tell you, I'm impressed with what is going on. To all needs to be arrested. All is not yet arrested, but how we are moving, I am impressed with the trajectory.
All right, as your parting shot today, one will say, the Vatsa family possibly will come up with their own something as well, either a rebuttal or, a statement. The Gideon Oka family, everybody that is involved in that particular place, just like the Babangidas have done and are still doing right now. But, that Maradona character, that evil genius character, those are two, nicknames that was given to Babangida while he was in power because of his disposition to some of these things. His seeming deceit, giving a date, he wouldn't meet up with the date, he was deceiving. At some point, one would say, beyond all of that and the annulment, he has been credited to be the one that, created NDLEA under his watch, strengthening institutions, the Federal Road Safety Corps as well, FRSC. His wife, the late, Miriam Babangida, created the Better Life for Women thing, and all of those things. One would say, those things that he has been credited for, that read out and more, the annulment thing, do you think is so bad that it has overshadowed even some positives under, IBB while he was in power? And maybe that is why IBB had to come up to reshaping some narrative about his legacy. He has some good sides, isn't it?
Yes, it's good side in agreeing to open up the country. The country who ran a command economy before he agreed to liberalize the markets. And liberalizing the markets is the reason people thank him for opening up the economy. So, but then the soldier in him also gave him that overwhelming power to show the evil in the gun, which is what you now refer to as Maradonic impulses. Well, it's not like we don't know who General Babangida is. We know who he is. Don't forget, some people hate him and some love him. Go to some people in Delta State, they will tell you, we from Warri, we hate him because he made Asaba capital of our state. Who knows? But those in Omnisha are happy. Asaba is capital of Delta State. So you can hate him, you can love him. A leader could be different things to different people. All I do advise is that people like General Gowon should also start now writing his memoir. And other people who are not happy, put your own down. I am known. My life is an open book. A lot of things I've done over the years are on the internet, and I can't go back to repudiate or try to deny them. They're there. So put these things down so that people know where you stand, people know who you are.
All right.
A lot of what Babangida wrote down are things he's been saying. He's been giving us snippets, but he was very categorical. He said it long ago. Sani Abacha had the ears of the leaders in the north.
All right.
And that he was going to get them together to kill him and kill those that he will announce. But that doesn't make his annulment of the election right. The annulment was wrong, and I condemn the annulment. So do I also condemn
by this inference, Doctor,
that undermined our last election.
We are totally out of time. By this inference, Doctor, are you saying, according to this narrative and the book of IBB and what he has always maintained in the past, the northern leaders at the time were the ones who orchestrated that annulment? Is that what you're saying?
That is what he's saying. That the leaders in the north didn't want him to hand over to the south.
All right.
Now, don't forget, this also repeated itself. So this is what we should not be thinking. Why are leaders in the north not agreeing for an inclusive Nigeria? It happened in 2023. It happened when in the PDP, people in the PDP like Atiku started paying money to people in the mosque for the mosque to start preaching that nobody should be voted from the east. That was why Wike started his denial acrobatics. This thing has
very much,
stopped.
Doctor. Yeah, it's always interesting, you know, and it appears time run faster, you know, whenever we are with you, Dr. Kacho Noniju, the DG, Director General of the Heritage Center, a think tank group, and of course, a public affairs analyst. Thank you very much for bearing your mind on the state of your country, my country today.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, so it's a pleasure to have you. We should go.
Yeah, we're going already. Well, we've had a lot of things to talk about today, and I'm sure you've actually picked a lot of information from today. I will see you tomorrow. I remain Uzams Okechukwu. Stay safe. And
I remain Femi Ojo. You can have a recap of this program and more exciting episodes and programs from your station of choice, Western Spring Television, where we say it as it is, on our YouTube channel at Western Spring TV. Share, like, subscribe, and of course drop your comments as well. We will do well by it. Again, I'm Femi Ojo. Thank you to the production team. We'll see you tomorrow for the midweek edition. Have a great day, and please stay alive.